So ACA is a really great foundation for students. That teaches them how to be college students. They really get to explore their personality and do a lot of career exploration, which leads them into what the CAA is, why it's in place, and how it directly impacts them and benefits them as college transfer students. And then also we teach them about the BDPs, what it is, why it's super critical for them to know how to locate them, for them to add them to their files, again, for the transfer students. And I get a lot of people who are unsure about ACA 122 if the student doesn't want to transfer right away. So we always give everybody the tools that they need to succeed, even if it's later in life. Maybe they don't think they want to pursue a four-year degree right now, and that's perfectly fine. We just give them the tools that they need so that later on, if they're ever in a position where they want to continue their education, they will know how to do that, and they will already be on the path to do so. So it's not just for transfer students who want to go to a four-year directly after JCC. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that, because we explain that to the students as well. Also, ACA was completely redesigned about a year ago, and all of the ACA courses are pretty much uniforms. There are different instructors, but all of the information and the way that it is given to the students is the same, which I think is also critical to make sure that students are all getting the same information across the board on that foundation for them to get started on their college career path. So now let's talk about the BDP. That was just a little bit about ACA, and we cover all of what I'm about to in ACA as well. If you have any questions as I go, please stop me, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So here is just, I don't like to have this much text on my slide, but I just felt like it was necessary, and everybody can read that, but I'm going to read it for you just so that you can understand the exact verbiage of what the CAA is. So it's a comprehensive articulation agreement. It's a statewide agreement governing the transfer of credits between the NC community colleges and the four-year NC public universities. It allows for students to transfer smoothly, and it provides certain assurances for transferring students that protects them and the credits that they've taken, because we don't want any students to take credits and then get to the four-year institution and learn that, oh, those are no good actually, so you have to take all of these classes again. So that's what we're trying to avoid. There are 16 UNC institutions that participate in the CAA agreement. And it also enables graduates of the two-year schools. That's one of their requirements. The CAA protects students who complete their two-year degree in either Associates of Arts or Associates in Science. And there are separate articulation agreements for engineering and such as well, but it's really important for everybody to know that the students have to complete the degree in order to be protected under the CAA. There are a few other eligibility requirements, one of them being that the student has to have at least a 2.0 or higher, which means they have to get a C or better on all of their classes, otherwise they wouldn't be able to transfer. So that's my little C there for you to remember that that's what they have to get, and the diploma because they have to finish their degree. Some of the benefits for the students under the CAA, if they meet those eligibility requirements that I just went over, they will transfer to the four-year institution with junior status. So they will transfer about 60 credits, which they have completed under their associate's degree. It does give them guaranteed admission to one of the colleges that participates in the agreement. So that's one of those UNC school systems. So this is a really common misconception that students have. They can't choose which school that they will be accepted into under this agreement. It just means that they are guaranteed admission to one of them. So UNC Wilmington is a popular one that students want to go to. And if they think, oh, I finished my degree and I have a 2.0 or better, so I could definitely go to UNCW. That's not how it works. They're just guaranteed admission to any one. All of their lower general ed requirements will have been met when they transfer in with the junior status. There are two that could potentially need to be taken at the four-year institution, and those two are foreign language and their phys ed requirements. Some of the 4 years will require that to be taken at their institution.
Justin has a question.
Yes, sir.
So, if the students don't get to decide what school of the possibilities accepts them, how do the schools decide?
So students will still apply to the schools that they want to go to, but let's say if the student wants to go to UNC Chapel Hill and UNC Wilmington, and those are their first two choices, and they apply to them and they don't get into either one of those, then they would be able to get into one of the other UNC systems, but they still could apply to the ones that they want to see if they would get in. Because of course, if their GPA is higher than a 2.0, as we know, then they would be more competitive and then they would have a better chance to get into one of their first choice schools.
If I can, Megan, it's actually, you almost have to apply to every single UNC school and not get in. And then you go to the transfer advisory committee, which oversees this, and they will basically put you in a school, but it's not going to be Chapel Hill. It's not going to be your choice of school. They will just see why you weren't admitted if you met all the qualifications into at least one UNC school. So you really have to go through all the 16 UNC schools and be declined admission for this to kick in for the guaranteed admission. Then they will literally put you in a school, but it's never all the top schools.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody else have any questions about the CAA? So I want to send out a video that goes over the CAA in a little bit more detail, and I will also send out the link so that you could read the CAA. It's 37 pages long, and it goes over everything, but I am trying to just go over the meat and potatoes of it so that you can make sure that the students have a basic understanding of the CAA and why it's important that they meet these requirements and that they know what they are during your advising sessions.
I literally today had to talk to a parent. Her son is at UNC Pembroke. They're not taking his classes, just a huge mess. I literally had to send her a copy of the CAA and walk her through how to do a grievance, because she was all in a tizzy. He went to JCC for maybe like 18 credits and transferred, and she was just in a tizzy about everything. They made him take English over again. It was a mess. So it's very important. This is the guidebook that basically rules our classes. So it's important for you all to understand the CAA.
Actually sending a link in the chat that takes you directly to the website, and then you can click on the PDF link to access the whole CAA for your reading pleasure at a later time. Okay, so now moving on to the BDP, because I think people think that the CAA and the BDP kind of do the same thing, but they don't actually. And it's really important for you to understand both components of it and for students to understand both components of it. So the baccalaureate degree plan is a pathway for community college graduates of associates in arts and associates in science going to a 4-year, right? So it coincides with the CAA, but what it does is it protects those classes that the student took. So I'm sure everybody knows this by now, and I experienced this in my undergrad. 4-year institutions like to change their degree plans all the time. So their program of study that lists all of the required courses to meet your 120 credits or 130 credits that you need to graduate, they might decide that you need this math class this year, and then next year they might change it. And so they can and do all the time make students retake classes because they'll say, oh, we're not accepting that math class for this major anymore. So now you have to take this class. And so that's not good for students for a multitude of reasons. And I will go to my next slide. What the BDP does, it locks the students in. So if the student locates their BDP, which shows all of those required courses at this moment in time from the university or the college, and they take that BDP and they get it into their file at the community college, then they're locked in. If they don't have it on record at the community college, then they are not locked in. So they can't just pull it from the website and use it as a resource for what classes to take. They have to have it in their JCC file. That's what locks them in. Then when they transfer to the 4-year, if they say, oh, we're not taking this math class anymore, we changed it this year, they can go back and show when they had the BDP locked in, and then they would have to do a course equivalency adjustment, right, Dawn? That's what it is, so that they don't have to retake another math class per se?
Course substitution.
Okay, a course substitution, so that way they won't have to retake the class again. So it's really vital for students, once they decide where they want to transfer to and what degree they're going after, that they get those BDPs and get them in their file. And so I use this little slide for students because it's really simple and it helps them remember. Nobody likes to waste time, and if you don't have your BDP, the college might end up having you retake classes later, which can cost money, which is why there's money down the toilet. And it can also prolong your graduation date. If you find out that you have to retake a couple classes, you might end up having to stay at the 4-year for another whole semester. Or instead of graduating in May, you might need to take summer classes. And it's a pathway that locks you in to your major and your program of study. And so students that don't complete their whole degree could still have their BDPs locked in. So the CAA protects the students they need to finish the degree, and the BDP protects the individual courses and where they fit to fulfill the requirements for the majors. Jennifer, you have a question?
Yeah, Megan, I was just wondering, how do they lock in their BDP? Where do they need to go to do that?
So we just came up with a super great system. We worked with Carrie Drew and her department, and there's now going to be a link available for students, and they'll click on it and they'll be able to upload their BDP, and then it will get saved in their file. And during their advising session, you'll be able to view the BDP and talk about it with them. And in ACA, that's a huge part of our class, is they learn how to locate the BDP, what it is, how to download it in the right format, so that they have the tools necessary to be able to lock themselves in.
Ms. Moeller, were we going to show the?
Yes, we're going to show where it is on the website, and you'll be able to access it through OnBase. So where all the advising plans are, the JCC admission summaries, that's where the BDPs will be located when you go during the advising appointment.
So that's all I have. Unless anybody else has any questions, then feel free to let me know or reach out to me after the meeting.
We wanted extra training on this, folks, because this has to be a part of what you talk about with your student. Because if you just let them say, if they uploaded their BDP and they say, hey, I don't remember the classes that the BDP requires me to take, then now you have easy access to it. And those are the courses that they should be taking in order to go to the senior institution and be right on track with their preferred major. And I think we're only uploading their #1 choice, because obviously if students change their mind, we can't do anything about that if they end up going after another major. But it shouldn't be that you're just saying, oh, take Maths 171 if you're going to a senior institution, when actually, maybe the program they want wants statistics, and it's right on their BDP, and yet they're on a track. Math is a big one for the calculus base, when really the program could have taken 143 in statistics. Justin has a question.
So several of the students I've done recently have been very fresh into the program and had extremely disparate ideas of what they would want to do, like drastically different. What do we do if the student is not in a position to make a BDP, like doesn't know what program they want to be a part of yet because they're very new?
If they're very new, then they should have been in ACA 122, and that should be the very first course for a new student, period. ACA 122, because that gets their roadmap started. It's 16 weeks of reflection and all kind of activities for them to be able to answer those questions at the end of the semester, as opposed to keep saying, I don't know. So at least it narrows down their choices, because sometimes they may have 2 or 3 schools, but that's better than saying, I have no idea. But if they miss their ACA, then they don't have their BDP. So, we're kind of shooting in the dark based on what they want to do.
And I'll just say that I know when they take ACA, it's so early on because they're supposed to take it their first semester. So we make sure to emphasize that what they're choosing now could change, but at least they'll know how to adapt and find the new BDP once they have solidified their decision.
Okay, Megan, go ahead. If people have questions, drop it in the chat, because I can answer it right back while she's explaining where the BDP is. Megan Moeller.
Okay, so that is one reason why the BDPs are important for advising our students who don't know what they want to do. And Monty's going to show you how we use them in advising and where to go and all that good stuff. But I wanted to let people know that these are also useful for CCP students. A lot of them may be going straight to the 4-year or to JCC, but it's still a good guide to help them pick out their electives. And I know there's a prescribed pathway for them, but it is helpful for them to kind of know what they're getting into at a school. Also, if the student didn't take ACA 122 in their first semester, you're going to want to advise them to take it for that next semester. And this will also help them start thinking about what they want to do. So, okay. So Monty is one of our new advisors, and they specialize in college transfer. They're going to show you how to access the BDPs on our website and a little more explanation about how they're useful in advising. And then we'll talk about where to find them, or the link where the student finds them and all that good stuff. So Monty, do you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen?
Yes, I can definitely do that. So I guess, first off, hi, everyone. Like Megan said, I'm one of the new advisors. I've been with JCC for about 5 months now. I can't believe it's already been 5 months. But so I'm just going to go over BDPs from an advising standpoint, where you can find them on our website, where you can find the form on OnBase and the uploading, and just some tips and tricks for using them from an advising standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. Let me make sure I click the right one. All right, so as you can see, I'm on the JCC homepage right now, and the fastest way that I've been able to get to the BDPs, a list of all the schools, is just by clicking on current students, and then you can click on transfer resources, and this takes you to our new transfer services page that we're kind of working on right now. It's a work in progress. But over here on the left-hand side, you can see college transfer pathways. And if you click on that, it'll take you to this list of all of the schools in the UNC system, and then even the independent private colleges and universities down here. So within each of these, it's a drop-down menu, and you can click on the drop-down, and you can click on undergraduate majors, transfer services, the transfer course equivalency, or the transfer pathway. So this is a very easy way to access the BDPs for all of the institutions within the state. Something that I'm working on right now that will hopefully get up on the transfer services website soon is I've dubbed them as master BDPs. And so what I've been doing is taking a look at the top 4 schools that our students are transferring to, and then making just a master BDP for certain degrees. So like if you want to look at psychology, you can pull up psychology and it'll have the top 4 schools that our students are transferring to and the classes that they have on their BDPs. So that is forthcoming. So just be on the lookout for those. We're just trying to make advising easier for all of our advisors, less tabs that you have to have open and whatnot. So one of my recommendations is, bookmarking this link so that it's always available to you. And I can put this link in the chat box. I'll go ahead and do that so you can have it and you can bookmark it if you want. Another good link that I have bookmarked, it's right there on my screen, this is from the UNC system, and it lists all of the schools just like how we have them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat box as well. So 2 different links, but they both have the same goal in mind. You can get to the BDPs on both links. One of the important things that Megan Rivera touched on is, choosing the classes that the students will need to be effective in the degree that they're choosing once they get to the 4-year. And one of those important things are the elective courses. So as you know, we offer many different courses here at JCC: criminal justice, business, but is a criminal justice course really going to suit a student as an elective if they're wanting to study English or something along those lines? So really making sure that we're choosing and suggesting the right elective courses for these students. And that's why the BDPs are so helpful. They can list those classes out, every specific class that the student will need. One of the institutions that has really good bachelor degree plans is NC State. Theirs are laid out in a very nice and effective way. As you can see, they have it's broken up into all of the different colleges that they have, and you can just click on any degree pretty much that you're looking for. If you don't see something there, that means because they are updating their BDPs, and so I'm assuming they're updating their fall 21 BDPs for the College of Design right now. But I went ahead and I pulled up their psychology degree. And so I'll zoom in a little bit on this, but as you can see, it lists out, exactly what they want the students to take in order to transfer smoothly into that psychology degree at NC State. It has their math requirements right there, and it even lists up here at the top what degree they should be in order to transfer for that degree. So if they're wanting to study psychology at NC State, it's best for them to be in the AA degree. So this is laid out as if the student was in the Associate in Arts degree here at JCC. So it has all the... Yes, ma'am.
Can I just make a quick, since you're on this, because I think when you start going through these, this is psychology, and maybe in your mind, if it's Associate in Arts, you were saying, that's probably not something that somebody would have to pursue, calculus. But if you see psychology at NC State requires 2 maths. And so because NC State is kind of a calculus-based school, they require it even in their education department. So it's important for Associate in Arts because you see on the Associate in Arts, you only need 4 credit hours to meet the requirement, but they need 2 maths. And that's been, a challenging conversation for some people in Associate in Arts. They picked that because they didn't want to have to do a lot of art a lot of science or math courses, but a lot of NC States and a lot of BDPs that I'm seeing, they're requiring more math than ever. Like for even non-STEM kind of things, I'm seeing it at a minimum 2 maths. So that's
Yeah.
another reason why it's good, because you may be working off of your own assumptions that, oh, that probably only needs the statistics course because it's psychology.
Yeah, I usually, when a student tells me that they're interested in NC State, I usually warn them that, you know, pretty much no matter the degree that they're going for, that they're going to end up taking 2 maths and 2 sciences, because NC State is just such a big STEM school. So I usually give that warning when I'm advising students interested in NC State. But yeah, this is just a great BDP for the students to look at if they're interested in going to NC State. I wish that every school would follow NC State's lead and create BDPs that look like this, but not every school does have the BDPs that are laid out like this. And I have another one that I can show you. This is a BDP from ECU. So as you can see, they have theirs laid out a little bit different. It's still in a semester by semester format. But I kind of like the way ECU lays theirs out because everything is color coded. So as you can see, the greens, those are elective courses. Blues, those are going to be gen ed courses. And anything red is going to be one of the UGETC courses. So this is just another example of BDPs that you can look at. Yeah, and so each school has the BDPs, and each school has the BDPs for all of their different degrees, or for most of their degrees. So if you are wanting to upload this, because in an advising session, you can have the student upload the BDP on their own, or you can upload the BDP yourself while you're in the advising session. I have done that myself. And I really like the new form that is in OnBase. You can just save this to your computer, and I'll usually save it as ECU Psychology, or whatever the school is in that different degree plan. And let me know, I'm going to pull up OnBase now. So let me know if you guys can see this or if I have to share my screen again. Megan, can you see the OnBase?
You can see it.
Okay, awesome, perfect. So here in OnBase, if you just click over here to Forms, under the advising documents, down at the bottom, the very last one is Baccalaureate degree upload. And so it's super easy. You just type in the student's colleague ID, their first name and their last name. And then you can either click on this drop down and search for the school that you want, or you can just go ahead and start typing it. And once you finish typing it, it'll pop up. You put in the degree, just type in the degree that you are doing it for. So I would put psychology, click attach that, and you can upload it from your computer, hit submit, and it goes directly to that student's file. You'll see it when you go into when you're searching for a student, you can put it in there. And I think I just did an upload today for this student. Yep, I did one earlier today, and it pops up right there. And you can see the student actually did want to study psychology at NC State. So it pops up right there in all of their other forms. So you can go back and look at it. You can refer to it. It's with all of their other documents. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick. Does anyone have any questions about right now, like BDPs and how to locate them, where to find them, the best uses for them?
Justin has a question. Dr. Bradshaw has a question.
Oh, yes.
Is this a thing that we should do for each student from now on, or is this a thing we should expect to have already been done?
If I would say if they've already taken the ACA 122 course, then this should have already been done. But sometimes I meet with students who are in their it's their first advising session, and they come in knowing exactly where they want to go and what they want to do. So I'll go ahead and just upload that BDP for them into OnBase. But if they're in ACA 122 or have taken it, hopefully this is something that's already been done.
I think for ACA, it's part of their assignment. So what will we do if the advisor uploads it, and it looks like it's done, but they haven't taken ACA and that's their assignment to do that? That's the only thing.
So their assignment, they have to turn it into Blackboard, but their assignment doesn't require them to upload it. So I would say that everybody, whoever you meet with, should check and see if they have it, because you need to look at it in order to advise them properly on the courses. So even if they've already had ACA 122, I would still say that everybody needs to check the BDP and open it up to have the conversation with the student.
So in order to have it locked in such that the sister institution is required to honor it, is that accomplished when we have it uploaded to OnBase, or is that accomplished when they have uploaded it to Blackboard and ACA 122, or is there a different thing that needs to be done? OnBase. So
Yep.
they need to have it in OnBase if they want it to be locked in. Like if they want it to matter, it needs to be in OnBase.
Correct.
Okay. And that is supposed to happen during advising appointments.
If they hadn't previously done it on their own, yes.
So they have the ability to access OnBase for the purposes of uploading these documents.
Yes, that's just been rolled out. So I don't even know if the link has been made available to them yet, but I will make the link available to them in ACA 122. But they'll be encouraged not to upload it to OnBase until they're sure that that's the plan they want to pursue. That way they don't have a whole bunch of BDPs up there when they're still trying to make up their mind.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I don't believe the form is on the website yet for students to be able to click on and upload it themselves. I didn't see it on there when I was looking today. But yeah, as Megan said, that is something that's going to be on the website for them to complete, just as if they were completing a program change form, an add drop form, graduation form. It'll be on there today. Or Carrie just said it was added today, so that's awesome.
And I wanted to add one more thing about the BDPs. They can also be very helpful when determining electives, and especially thinking about graduation. So these extra classes in the BDPs, they can go in the Gen Ed requirements or the other required section. And as Dawn was saying a little while ago, if a student is AA, so they only have to take one math technically, but the BDP says 2 maths, then they can put that second math in the Gen Ed section. So just when you're talking about graduation or the students getting close to graduation, the BDPs really help with those electives. Also, just as a general reminder, other required credits cannot be moved down to general education credits, but it can be done vice versa. So extra Gen Ed requirements can be moved into the other required. So this is just something to think about when talking to a student about graduation. Justin?
So I have CCP advising appointments tomorrow, and this form is now live. In terms of how I should alter the way I am doing my appointments, given the new reality, should I be just, for anyone who's already had ACA 122, should I be uploading their BDP for them, or trying to help them upload their BDP, or just comment that this exists, or is there a different tack that I should take during advising appointments?
Well, you will run into some students who have already taken ACA 122, but the BDP isn't uploaded. I think in that case, it would be a good idea to help the student upload it during the advising session, since they will not be going back to ACA 122. Megan, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
I mean, I don't do advising per se, but if I were going to, I would have BDP be a part of every conversation and ask the students if they know where to locate it, do they know what it is, and open it up so that you can look at the BDP alongside their associate degree plan. So that way you can do what Megan was saying and make sure that they take the right classes as an elective if they know the BDP requires that for their 4-year choice. So if they've taken ACA 122, they should know how to locate it. They should know what it is. So that conversation should be much easier for you. But just making sure that they have uploaded it, because in the past, when this link wasn't available, they might think that it's in their file and it's not. So if everybody could just make sure that they know to have it in their file and double check for them, and then look at it while they're advising and choosing classes. I think that would be the best way to utilize the BDPs.
Lisa?
Yeah, I've got OnBase open right now, and I'm trying to open the baccalaureate degree upload, and I'm getting an error message that says form template is inaccessible to current user. Is that because I'm off campus, or?
It's a possibility, but since it's new, I think that's something we need to talk to Ricky Rayner about, something we may have to troubleshoot. So you said you're off campus right now?
I'm off campus, but I am connected, so.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem, but I think we need to check with Ricky, like I said, because it's so new that there just might be some bugs. So I appreciate you saying that and checking it out so we can look into it.
Sure.
Okay. Monty, do you want to show where to locate the BDPs again?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so from the home page, if you go to current students and then scroll down under academic resources to transfer resources, and then over here on the left, there is college transfer pathways, and you can click on that and it'll take you to the BDPs for the different institutions. And I put that link in the chat box, and I put this link in the chat box as well.
I just reposted the link so they could see it while you're on the page.
Okay, awesome. Yep, so those are there for you. Stop sharing my screen now.
And I want to share one more side note. And this is for the pre-health science advisors. If you're with a nursing student, the RN to BSN pathway is basically what a BDP is. So if they're wanting to transfer to that 4-year school, whatever's on that pathway is what will definitely transfer to the participating schools. It's been locked in, I guess you could say. So the RN to BSN pathway equals a BDP for the pre-nursing students.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Justin?
I'm sorry, I've been going back through trying to find it. So if a student says like, hey, I would like to make a BDP and upload it myself, and we're to help them with that, is there a set of directions or a primer that we can refer them to that walks them through the process?
So they're not going to make the BDP, right? They're just going to locate it. And yes, I have a video that shows my students how to locate the BDP that I can locate and send out as an email to everybody to have as a resource if you want to. It's the same one that I use in ACA that shows them how to do that.
Sure, I'm really like in terms of how to lock it in. I know they're not writing their own, but in terms of saying like, my name is John A. Smith, and on this day in 2021, I would like to lock in my BDP for psychology at NC State. Thus it is spoken, thus it must be accepted. That step.
So yeah, they just locate it through that website that we sent. They'll choose the school that they know they want to go to. They'll find their degree plan, and then they'll save it. I have them save it as a PDF, and that's the 2-page pathway that Monty was showing. So I have them save that as a PDF file, and then once they upload it to OnBase, I'm sure that OnBase timestamps it and sees when it was uploaded and that it's there, and that's what locks them in. So there's no other extra step that you have to do, like a certified statement saying that they're locked in. Just once it's in their file, then that's what the 4-year institution accepts in terms of being locked in.
Okay, that's exactly the step I'm interested in, is after they have it saved as a PDF, then putting it into OnBase. Like, is there a thing for that step right there? Like they've saved it as a PDF. Now they put it into OnBase. Okay, there's a thing for that step right there. That would be excellent.
Okay. Yeah, I have a video that shows them how to go to the CAP Center's website, find their school of choice, locate their BDP, save it as a PDF. And then I'll make a new video with this new link that shows them how they can upload it to OnBase, and then I'll send that to everybody if that would be helpful.
Sure, I would very much appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions for advising or anything? Okay, well, if nobody has anything, then we'll end for today. And of course, if you do think of any questions, contact, oh, yes, Rachel, I meant to say this too. The link will be available. We will email it out, the video, but it'll also be available on the Advising YouTube channel that we've been putting professional development videos on, but it'll definitely be made available in multiple ways. So anyway, but if you have any questions, just ask me, ask Megan. We're going to be here for anything you need.